Ayahuasca is a very complicated being. And there are also many types of ayahuasca to make it even more complicated when we work with her. So I'm going to cover a handful of the most common varieties of ayahuasca. In future videos, I'm going to talk about common types of ceremonies and the most well-known ayahuasca tribes. But today I'm going to talk physically about the different varieties of the vine herself. As far as I'm aware, there are at least 20 different varieties of ayahuasca. I'm only going to talk about, I think, 5 today, maybe one different variety, because they're the most common. So the most prevalent kind of ayahuasca or variety of ayahuasca that is in the majority of the ceremony brews is called cielo, also called yellow, or sky or heaven ayahuasca. She is, as a vine, she's the most gentle of all of her varieties for the most part. It's kind of weird to call her that because she's so strong and intense sometimes. But cielo is the most uplifting, the most light-filled, and the most common in terms of what we find in the wild. So if you've drank ayahuasca, chances are it's cielo that you have connected with. There's also one called trueno or thunder ayahuasca. It's my personal favorite. I've only had it a handful of times in my training, but thunder ayahuasca creates shaking. It's really intense. She is that version or that variety of ayahuasca is so good at loosening up stored trauma. I love a good shake in ceremony because it is often trauma being released, and thunder ayahuasca is incredible for this. It is more of an advanced ayahuasca to drink because it's very intense, but really, really magical. If you get a chance to work with her and you're a fan of ayahuasca as a whole, thunder ayahuasca is magical. There's white ayahuasca, and white ayahuasca is exclusively harvested from old growth vines. And so she's not cultivated. She's really only found in the wild, to my knowledge. She's full of light, you could tell by the color, the saturation of light that she holds. Oddly enough, though, she's considered a more advanced ayahuasca to work with because she illuminates so much of the shadow of the person drinking her that it can be very confronting and challenging. If you're not in a place of owning love and compassion for your dark side or the dark side of humanity as a whole, ayahuasca blanca can be really, really challenging, but really, really beautiful. She's hard to find though, because it's old growth, non-cultivated medicine. You got to go deep into the jungle to find this variety of ayahuasca these days, so it's not commonly served. Then there is ayahuasca negra, black ayahuasca. Black ayahuasca is, unfortunately, because medicines that carry the shadow energy are typically used in this way, she's commonly used in brujeria. So with the people that practice black magic with ayahuasca, they often love to get their hands on ayahuasca negra because it just has a more shadowy vibration. It is almost exclusively in the traditions. When you're training, it's only worked by the shamans themselves who are learning to work with that element of darkness, and ayahuasca negra is a really potent teacher of that. But I know a couple of facilitators that pour it for participants, which, I mean, if they can hold it down, fantastic, as long as people know that they're consuming something that has more of the shadowy element and they're saying yes to it, it can be absolutely beautiful. But not very commonly worked with just because it's the big guns. Lastly, red ayahuasca. Red is typically more visionary because it's a saturation of all the colors. It too is often exclusively worked with by people who are on the shamanic path because red ayahuasca in many ways is the strongest. She's not just anchored in the light, she's not just anchored in the shadow, she's saturated with all of these colors, and you combine her with chacruna or a DMT containing plant and it can be out of the cosmos strong. And so red ayahuasca, though, I find it's really beautiful to work with by herself, not combining any of the DMT because it's a very strong essence of the spirit of ayahuasca, really covers the whole spectrum of what she communicates. But when it's not combined with a DMT containing plant, it can be, easier to navigate and really beautiful to connect with just the magic of her spirit. In a future video, I'm also going to talk about the difference between ayahuasca and yahe, which is it gets really complicated because that involves different traditions and different preparations of the brew. But typically when we talk about yahe, it is the ayahuasca cielo vine combined with a different DMT containing plant called chacropanga. So I'll talk about that in the future, but just so you know, yahe and ayahuasca both contain the vine, typically cielo or yellow, but the preparation, the way the tribes work with her, all of that is typically very different. She's complicated, isn't she? Which makes it fun, keeps us on our toes. But thank you for listening. Please follow our Plant Medicine People channel for more content like this in the future. And I wish you lots of love and safety out there. Until next time.